The virtue of hope really comes alive in this month of August. There's hope for a new school year that's quickly approaching, hope for college students moving in with new roommates or getting their own apartments, hope for great weather during our last-minute getaways before the end of summer, hope for the Cubs to make the postseason, and the Bears to suck less this coming season. And finally, today's feast of the Transfiguration gives us hope for the resurrection. And next week, on August 15th, when we celebrate the Assumption of the Blessed Mother into heaven, it also gives us hope for the resurrection. So we certainly have a lot to be hopeful for. Just before today's event that we hear in the Gospel, Jesus and his apostles are in Caesarea Philippi, which will be one of our stops on our pilgrimage to the Holy Land next year, so you know. And in this city is where Jesus asks the famous question, "Who do you say that I am?" Simon, courageously, with bold confidence, responds correctly, "You are the Christ, the Son of God," which leads to Jesus renaming him Peter, symbolic that he will be a rock on which the church will be built. In the very next scene, Jesus predicts his coming passion, to which Peter tries to convince Jesus to not die. And Jesus famously says, "Get behind me, Satan." And then between that scene and today's transfiguration, Jesus explains the conditions for being his disciple. He says in Matthew 16, right before this event, "Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." I explain all of that build-up to the Transfiguration because it's important and all of it is necessary if we want to be transfigured on the day that all of our bodies rise from the dead. And what does the Father say as Jesus is levitating, dressed in white and glowing like the sun? The Father says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. Listen to him." The Transfiguration is a precursor to the resurrection. And how does one rise from the dead? By denying themselves, taking up our cross, and following Jesus. Whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for Jesus' sake will find it. Okay? So how does one lose their life in the spiritual sense, right? And Jesus certainly shows us throughout the Gospels what it looks like to spiritually lose your life as well as physically, right? But it's also good to look at the lives of the saints to help us. First is one of my favorite, all these are my favorite saints. I love all the saints, but I'm going to talk about my favorites. Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati. He's not just cool because he's Italian. He's cool for how he lived his very short lifespan. So Blessed Pier Giorgio was a rich kid in Turin, Italy at the turn of the last century. His father owned a paper mill and business was booming. And Blessed Frassati, think of him like an Italian Richie Rich, right? He would spend his allowance on medicine, food, and clothing for the poor. When he turned 18, his parents offered him the option of a car, which new technology at the time, or he could have the cash that the car costed. You just get the cash. He chose cash, and he spent all of it on the poor. This soon-to-be canonized, hopefully someday soon, patron saint of young people. He's also the patron saint of World Youth Day, which is happening right now in Portugal. He died of polio in his early 20s, which he likely contracted from all of his work with the poor. And his parents knew nothing of his philanthropy, and so they were completely surprised that at his funeral mass, the cathedral was full, even to overflowing out onto the streets, of the city's poor and marginalized that their son had been serving since he was a teenager. Blessed Frassati, in his own way, gave up his life in pursuit of heaven. We also have the witness of Saints Louis and Zélie Martin, famously the parents of Saint Therese of Lisieux, which we have her statue now to the right of the elevator doors, known as the Little Flower, so she's holding flowers along with the crucifix. This is Saint Therese's parents. They were a heroically holy couple. They were just a married family. They were a married couple with this family. They're known for just being good and holy parents. Their life was full of suffering. Zélie died very young, as a young mother, they think, after exhuming her body from a type of breast cancer. And Louis, like his daughter Therese, died from tuberculosis as a fairly young man. And like his daughters, who became religious, they gave us one of the greatest saints in our tradition, and Saint Therese, but also two other of their daughters entered into religious life, and their fourth daughter is very well known, and her cause for canonization has been opened as well, for her affection and love for the sick, and she was especially helpful to her father as he was dying from TB. Pope Francis canonized this couple in 2015 to show them as a great witness to the beauty of married life that focuses on mirroring the love of the Trinity as most important, and all of the drama of family life just gets thrown to the wayside. The Martin family was certainly full of drama. Believe me, they were a normal family. Read Therese's autobiography. It's called The Story of a Soul. You'll hear all about their family drama. But the drama was not the center of their family life. The love around them, first and foremost modeled after their parents, was what was the focus of their family. Heaven was the focus, not the things of this world. So friends, this is how we lose our life so that we can find it in heaven. Forget about the things this world offers us. It's great and necessary to own a house, to have a car to get to your job, to go on family vacations, and to have a savings account. Those are very important. Jesus is not calling everybody to be homeless, right? Or to die a martyr's death. Praise God, I don't even like getting my blood drawn from my doctor, let alone die a martyr's death. But rather, Jesus is calling us to not focus our attention on the comforts and the things that this world offers us as more important than heaven and our spiritual lives. Peter was focused on this world, wanting to build tents for Moses and Elijah to keep everything here. But we're not made for this world. We are made for the world to come. And so let's let go of the nonsense this world offers and put all of our treasure in heaven.